Traveling beyond the highway and into the unknown is a great way to break free from the ordinary routine of life. After making one last stop for fuel, our group headed north on Highway 395 towards the Inyos mountain range. The lure of silver, gold, and other precious metals brought several people to this area in the mid-1800s. Over 150 years later, few of the mining boom towns remain. If you're brave enough to make the climb along a narrow shelf road to 8,500 feet, you'll find the privately owned ghost town of Cerro Gordo. With a small donation and some luck, the caretaker will give you a well-guided tour that includes history, antiques, and ghost encounters.
Well, anyway, if you're standing at the end of a drift, you don't call a mine a tunnel unless it goes through point A to point B. It's called a drift or an adit. But you got to keep that drill hole. So if you're at the end of a adit, the dirt's got one place to go, right in your face. Not nice. Ever heard of Lincoln Electric? Lincoln Welders? Lincoln Electric lamp, 1917, with an Edison light bulb in it. Bronze. The War Act of 1942 closed all non-essential mining. If you were a gold mine and a silver mine, you were sent to the front line as workers. They didn't need gold and silver. This had lead, zinc, copper. 3 strategic metals for the war effort, so they high graded that.
What would they use the lead for?
Lead, bullets, cannonballs. And lead and zinc equals galvanize, rust proofing. So that's what happened. This was the Silver King's house, Belshaw, 1868. And Belshaw wouldn't bring his family up here because of all the shooting. So he hired a cook that lived in the house behind here named Sue Wu. And when Belshaw had a valuable investor, he'd have Sue Wu do a nice meal for the investor and then serve the best champagne and wines. But the whiskey up here, back in the 1860s, tasted like a cross between kerosene, gasoline, and diesel fuel. It used to come in 2.5-gallon kegs, and then they would put it 3/4 full in the quart bottle and then top it off with water because it was so strong. And if you accidentally lit a match with the pure whiskey and you had whiskey in your mouth, you'd burn your face off because it was terrible stuff. This was built in 1871, officially opened June 15th. That's the original wiring up in the ceiling in there, knob and tube. I got to check for my rat traps in here. You know who Thomas Edison is? There is a bullet hole that goes through the wall here. A shotgun blast pattern there.
Yep.
And a stain on the floor down there has been there forever.
Is there a stain?
Oh yes, right below the bullet hole. Yes. Last fall there was 2 girls from France with their boyfriend from Germany standing right here. I'm standing by the window. She says, "Do you think somebody got killed in here?" And I go, "Most likely." Was there a ghost in here? Right when the ghost When she said ghost, there was 4 knocks on the wall. So I said, excuse me, and I run up behind here to see who's playing a practical joke. Nobody was there. That's Billy Crapo. Crapo. If you called him Crapo, he'd pull that 4440 on you. He's the one next door that did the last known murder up here, 1892. Because there was so much shooting going on here. William Chalfant, who had the newspaper in Independence, who wrote the book, the story of Inyos, he wrote down that some of the miners would line their bunks with sandbags. That's how bad it was up here.
After our much appreciated tour, we headed east over the mountains and into Lee Flats. Our destination would be Saline Valley Warm Springs. However, little did we know the weather would change as we got closer to camp. On the approach to the springs, strong winds were sweeping through the valley, blowing sand and dust everywhere.
Fucking all this dust. Holy shit.
The next morning, we had perfect 75-degree weather, so Tom and I headed west to search the mining ruins on the eastern side of the Inyos.
Underneath your rear. Yeah. Can you go forward more?
Although slashing a tire in the middle of nowhere is never part of the plan, it's always best to be prepared. Thankfully, we had our spare and enough time to head back to camp before the sun went down. Well rested and after one last soak in the springs, it was time to head home. Half of our group would go north, and the rest of us would head south to explore some old cabins restored by local volunteers. from the springs, we encountered a group of wild burros who seemed anything but wild. That wouldn't last long as one of the burros attacked the other. James, the burro bouncer, went to work breaking up the fight.
Wake up! Wake up! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
At the Minietta cabin, we signed the logbook and then made our way up the mountain to explore some mines. The journey to these remote and historical destinations wouldn't be complete without sharing the experience with friends, family, and the people you meet along the way.